Welcome to today's lesson on introductions, and as the objective states above on the sheet that you should have received, so be sure that you have this sheet in front of you so you could take some notes. Students will review suggestions and criteria for effective introductions. And with this information, you'll hopefully begin to draft your hero essays. We'll be discussing what the purpose is of an introduction, what is a lead or a hook, and what are the different types of hooks or leads. So let's take a look at the hero sample essay that you might recall before we begin notes on this sheet. So we read this a week or two ago, and if you recall, we were trying to figure out where the thesis is in this essay. So just from the top down to the end of the introduction, let's just go through this and be sure that we agree upon a few things. So it says here in this essay, From Ordinary to Heroic, the journalist Geraldine Brooks once noted that September 11th, 2001 revealed heroism in ordinary people who might have gone through their lives never called upon to demonstrate the extent of their courage. In other words, unexpected and challenging situations can bring out the best qualities in just a few people. Not everyone can step up. Most ordinary people tend to be bystanders in such situations, but the chosen few can overcome fear and rise up to help or save others. With plenty of examples from film, novels, and the real world, these situations can turn everyday people into heroes. For some, that may take time. Ultimately, the best heroes are ordinary people who demonstrate courage, teamwork, and compassion to do what is right. So the thesis, if you recall, is the last sentence of the introduction, the one that I just highlighted in yellow. So we'll label that the thesis just for now, so we can understand then what all this other information is that leads up to the thesis. So let's take a look at your introduction sheet, and let's begin to take notes on what's the purpose of an introduction and what the hook or the lead does, and the different types of hooks or leads. So if you don't mind copying down this information, just so that you're clear about what you need to do in the introduction. The introduction hooks your reader, previews the essay, and presents the thesis. So there's 3 steps. There are several hooks or leads that are used as the first few sentences to grab your reader's attention. So that's what the job is of a hook or a lead. It's akin to fishing. If you've ever gone fishing before, you know that fish are just not going to bite a hook that's hanging in the water. You have to put a lure on it or some bait. And that's the idea here, is that you want something that will grab the reader's attention. How do you do that? Well, a hook or a lead may ask a direct question. So in your essay, the simplest way might be to ask your reader, how do you define what a hero is? Of course, your questions could be more complicated, or they could be tailored to your thesis. You could use a joke or irony. You could use an interesting fact or statistic, especially if you're writing about nonfiction heroes. Sometimes statistics, numbers pertaining to, say, the accomplishments of a hero, or how many people were affected by this hero that you're writing about, that could be included. You might use imagery or set of visual scenes. So think about the text that we've read and how they use imagery to get the reader to imagine what life is like in that situation. You could get creative and poetic to set your reader into that realm. The last one is to feature a famous quotation related to the thesis, which is what we saw in the sample essay. And then down below, where we have A and B, following a lead, you should have a brief preview of the essay, such as the text you'll be analyzing, along with your thesis statement. And it has to be word for word, that statement. So let's go back to the hero sample essay real quick, so we can understand then what the rest of this information is. So this student with the highlighted blue sentence here uses a hook that is a famous quotation. It's a quotation written by this writer, Geraldine Brooks. Now, reading this, you might think it's an essay about September 11th, but it's really about linking this idea of ordinary people to that thesis statement that's down below about the best heroes being these ordinary people. Now, what's this information in between? We would see this as the brief preview of what we can expect in this essay. So we know that in the body paragraphs, we're going to be reading about examples from film, from novels, and from the real world so that this thesis can be proven. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a very straightforward formula. Once again, there's the sheet, and if you want to pause it just to complete your work, that's what you need to do. Good luck.